In-depth coverage of the all-night debate in Congress over what President Trump is calling his big, beautiful bill.
On this vote, the yeas are 215, the nays are 214, with one answering present. The bill is passed.
That was, of course, House Speaker Mike Johnson just before 7 o'clock this morning as House Republicans narrowly secured passage of their massive package of spending and tax changes, sending it now onto the Senate.
And joining us now for a closer look at what's in the legislation and what happens next is 12 News Politics editor Ted Nesi. Ted, a bit of a nail-biter for GOP leaders to get this through. In the end, they succeeded, but of course, this was only a first step. So talk us through some of what's in there.
Well, Kayla, Kim, as you said, Kim, this is a very complicated piece of legislation, over 1,000 pages, trillions of dollars. But let's talk about a few of the sections that will affect the most people. So the bill would extend President Trump's 2017 tax cuts and add some other new reductions. It would also quadruple the so-called SALT deduction that lets people write off their state and local taxes. That's a big issue in blue states like Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Republicans also want to add new rules for Medicaid, the massive health insurance program that covers lower-income Americans, which experts say would increase the number of people without insurance by over 7 million people in 2034. The bill also would set new work requirements to qualify for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, food stamps. That would reduce spending on that program. And it creates what the bill calls Trump accounts as a new type of savings accounts for kids. The federal government would deposit $1,000 in all of them over the next few years when a new baby is born. So again, we could do this whole hour on individual provisions of the bill, but those are the ones I expect people will be hearing a lot about.
We're not going to do the whole hour.
No, okay, yes, I would.
I know you would. So Ted, though, this bill's a long way from being finished. This was just sort of another step in the progress here.
Right. We all remember Schoolhouse Rock. I'm just a bill. You know there's a lot of steps that go into getting a bill to the president's desk. So now this goes over to the U.S. Senate, where Republican leader John Thune wants it done by the 4th of July. But he has a lot of work to do to get there. Some GOP senators want deeper spending cuts than the House passed, but others think the House bill already cuts too deep, especially on Medicaid. And after the Senate makes whatever changes it makes, the bill has to go back to the House for another vote before it could then go to President Trump's desk to be signed into law. Now, all that said, we've seen how President Trump can convince wavering Republican lawmakers to go along when he puts the pressure on, so he'll probably have to do that here again in the Senate.
And briefly, Ted, one concern on both sides of the aisle here is how this could increase the federal debt.
Yes, the estimates vary, but most independent experts are saying this will add trillions of dollars to the national debt, which is already quite high. And there are worries about how that's going to affect the economy now and later. That could affect the Senate debate, too, I think, in the coming weeks as they start to discuss what to do.
Certainly a lot to watch here on Capitol Hill as we move into the summer. 12 News Politics editor Ted Nesi, thanks for being here.
Good to be here.